Doom shot, motherfucker.
So they start bringing, in the 1800s, they stopped immigration slavery from Europe, from the British, because they beat the British, right? All right. So this is the Reconstruction era. This is when they started to create their constitutions. This is when they started to create their chiefs for them. The Aboriginals already had their chiefs. They already had their cities. They already had their provinces, their towns. They already had their laws, their constitutions and all that. They already had that, all right? Matter of fact, they helped the colonists create their constitution. So the colonists, the whole constitution, the 14th Amendment, was to naturalize the colonists. Those were the slaves. Those were the real slaves, was the colonists. The people who was brung over here from the British crown, the Moors, the Europeans, whoever, those were the slaves. They the ones who had to fight their masters. They the ones that won in 1776. So during the Reconstruction era, when they was creating their presidents, it was like 7 or 8 presidents before George Washington. So when this Constitution was formed, it was formed to liberate and naturalize the slaves who were born here, whose ancestors was brought over here from England. So this is why it excluded Indians not taxed, because we ain't pay no taxes. We were already free. We were never subjects of the crown. So after all that, they start bringing, 1800s, mid-1800s, start bringing in Japanese, Chinese people, start bringing in people from Ukraine, wherever, all over Europe. Come, bring you're sick, you're needy, you're hungry, come here, right? Now, these people started to create gangs, right, and started to attack Aboriginal cities and towns and villages. They started just really encroaching on Aboriginal territory. Now, they had the mind, now that they are naturalized American citizens, and you can look this up in the Webster Dictionary, 1828, which stated an American is the Aboriginal or copper-colored people who were found here by the Europeans, but now apply to Europeans born in America, because they naturalized themselves based off of their winning the war against the British in 1776. So now they're trying to encroach on our property, not the property that we lended to them, not the property that we allowed them to work on. Now they're encroaching on our property. Now they trying to discover new lands and take over things. Now we going to war. There was Indian wars all over this country. These people started to side with the Asiatic people, started the plain Indians, those Siberians who we've been beating their asses for centuries, had them in the flatlands hunting buffaloes, living in teepees. You feel me? So they sided with them, and then they tried to side with the Seminoles, right? Who were nothing but the Choctaws, and you know what I mean, Geechee Gullah. These are all these tribes. So they tried to get down with them and bring them into the fold, and the Seminoles went to war with the colonists, and it all led up to the Civil War. The Civil War was won by the Seminoles. This is why we was able to keep Louisiana, Florida, and a lot of our southern territories down in the bayou and all that. This is why we was able to keep that. But they had a different plan. We're not going to call these people Aboriginals. We're not going to call these people Indians, because that name will denote that they have some type of land ownership. They was trying to take our land. So this is when they changed us to coloreds, Negroes, Africans, all this other stuff, because they didn't want to honor the treaties that they had made with the Aboriginal people after the War of Independence. To sum it all up, the Constitution has nothing to do with us, because we were at war, still at war with these people. We were never slaves. Never. They were the slaves. The 14th Amendment was to naturalize and liberate the Europeans and the Asians and whoever else came over here. That was for them. That's why we were excluded. We didn't get our citizenship until 1968. Citizen means a subject who was under the authority of the American government corporation. You can be a citizen here. You can be born here. You got birthright citizenship. But then you have federal citizenship, which means that you are a subject of the government of America, and now you have to pay taxes. So the 3/5 came from the Indian couldn't be counted as a whole vote. So there was 3/5 of a vote. You get it? So at the end of the day, the 14th Amendment, the Constitution itself, have nothing to do with black Americans, nothing to do with us. We were not the slaves that needed to be naturalized. We were not brung over here, born here, and needed to be naturalized. We were already naturalized. This is our country. That Constitution was for them damn Caucasoids, those Moors, and whoever else came over here from England, from Europe, and once they got here, they became naturalized under the Constitution once they had children. Or they were naturalized being a citizen and paying taxes to the American government. So let's cut all that out. Oh, black people can't be deported because we're the descendants of slaves. No, stop saying that. Stop saying that. That's not true. We at war with these people. We at war with these people. We don't need no piece of paper to naturalize us on our own land. That piece of paper was to naturalize them. They had a war of independence. We had a civil war because they wasn't being civil with us. They were being savages with us. They were trying to take over our land, encroaching on our property, trying to change our name on paper. Remember, the pen is mightier than the sword. They conquered us with a pen. They didn't conquer us with the sword because we still here. We still here. But they tried to change our mentality. They did every trick in the book, knowing that our chiefs were women. They subjected the women and the children to some type of bondage down in Virginia. But that didn't even last long because Pocahontas' daddy killed all the white people in Jamestown, Virginia by 1622. They came in 1619. They was eradicated by 1622. Look that up. Pocahontas' daddy wiped their ass out. So I'm telling you, the Constitution, the 14th Amendment ain't got nothing to do with us. It wasn't written by us. It was written by the people, for the people who came here, who wanted to be naturalized after 1776. Come on, man, get your history right.
Don't care, 'cause I just in my feelings. Ain't that is what I got when I don't care.